My name is Mia. I am 28 years old. Before I tell you my story, I want you to know something. I used to believe in magic, not the kind with wands and spells. I believed in the magic of destiny. I believed in soulmates. I believed that somewhere in the world, there was one person made just for me. And I believed that one day I would find him. This is the story of how I thought I found him, and how that belief almost destroyed me. My life before him was simple. It was quiet. I worked in a small, cozy bookstore. I loved the smell of old books. I loved the quiet rustle of pages turning. My apartment was small, too. It had one big window that looked out onto a busy street. I liked watching the people walk by. I often wondered about their stories. Were they happy? Were they in love? I felt a little lonely sometimes in my small apartment with my quiet books. But it was a peaceful loneliness. It didn't hurt. I had friends. Good friends. We would meet for coffee. We would talk about our lives, our jobs, our dreams. My dream was always the same. I wanted a great love. A love like in the books I read. A love that was deep and true and forever. My friends would smile. They would say, "Mia, you are such a romantic." And I was. I waited for my soulmate. I truly believed he was coming. Then, one rainy afternoon, he walked into my bookstore. The little bell above the door chimed. I looked up from my desk, and I saw him. He was tall. He had dark, curly hair that was a little wet from the rain. He wore a simple gray coat. But it was his eyes that I noticed first. They were kind. They were the color of warm honey. He smiled at me. It was a small smile, but it felt like sunshine on that rainy day. He walked through the aisles slowly. He ran his fingers along the spines of the books. He looked like he belonged there. After a while, he came to my desk with a book. It was one of my favorites. A book about love and adventure. "This is a good choice," I said. My voice sounded a little shaky. He looked at me. His honey-colored eyes were so warm. "Have you read it?" he asked. His voice was calm and deep. "Many times," I said. "It's one of my favorites." "Then I know I will like it," he said, and he smiled again, a bigger smile this time. My heart did a little jump. It was a silly little jump, but it felt important. He paid for the book. As he was leaving, he paused at the door. He turned back to me. "My name is Ben," he said. "I'm Mia," I replied. "It was nice to meet you, Mia," he said. And then he was gone. The little bell chimed again. I stood there for a long time, just looking at the empty doorway. Ben. His name was Ben. It felt like the beginning of a new chapter in my life. He came back the next week, and the week after that. He always bought a book. He always talked to me for a little while. We talked about books, about the weather, about small things. But it felt like we were talking about big things. I learned that he worked in graphic design. He was creative. He was smart. He was funny. He made me laugh. The bookstore didn't feel lonely when he was there. It felt full of possibility. One day, he asked me out for coffee. My heart said yes before I could even think. We went to a small cafe near the bookstore. It was warm and smelled like cinnamon. We talked for hours. It was so easy to talk to him. He listened, really listened. He looked at me when I spoke. He asked questions. He remembered little things. I said. I told him about my dream of traveling to Italy one day. He didn't laugh. He said, I would love to see Italy with you, Mia. We could eat pasta and look at old buildings. We. He said, we. It was a beautiful word. That coffee date turned into many dates. We went for walks in the park. We cooked dinner together at my small apartment. He was perfect. He was everything I had ever dreamed of. He was kind. He was supportive. When I was sad, he knew how to make me smile. When I was happy, he was happy with me. He would say the most beautiful things to me. Mia, before I met you, my world was black and white, he once told me. We were sitting on a bench, watching the sunset. You brought the color into my life. I believed him. I felt it too. My quiet, simple life was now a vibrant, colorful adventure. With him, he told me about his life. He said he grew up in a small town far away. He said his parents passed away when he was young. An aunt raised him. He said he was alone for a long time. I never really had a family, he said, his voice soft and a little sad. Until now. You feel like my family, Mia. My heart ached for him, for the lonely boy he was. I wanted to take away all his past sadness. I wanted to build a happy future with him. A future filled with love and warmth. We planned our future all the time. We would sit with a cup of tea and dream together. We talked about getting a house. Not too big. A house with a garden for flowers. And a dog. A golden retriever named Sunny. We talked about traveling. First Italy, then maybe Greece. We even talked about children one day. He said he wanted a daughter who looked just like me. My heart felt so full it could burst. This was it. This was the magic I had been waiting for. Ben was my soulmate. I was sure of it. I had never been so sure of anything in my life. I introduced him to my friends. They loved him. He's amazing, Mia, my friend Sarah told me. The way he looks at you, it's like you're the only person in the world. I knew. I felt it every day. I was so happy. It felt like I was living inside one of my favorite romance books, the perfect story. But sometimes, even in the most perfect stories, there are pages that are a little strange, little things that don't quite fit. There were small moments. I tried to ignore them. He was very private about his phone. He always kept it face down on the table. If it rang when we were together, he would often ignore it. Or he would step into another room to take the call. Just work, he would say with a quick smile when he came back. It's boring. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? He was Ben, my Ben. One time I asked to see a picture of him as a child. I wanted to see the little boy he told me about. He looked sad for a moment. "Oh, Mia," he said, stroking my hair. "I don't have any photos. They were all lost in a fire at my aunt's house years ago. I lost everything from my childhood." My heart broke for him all over again. I held him tight. "It's okay," I whispered. "We'll make new memories. So many new memories." I pushed away the strange feeling. The feeling that something was not quite right. I told myself I was being silly. He had been through so much. Of course he had sad parts of his past. The lies he told were not big, dramatic lies. They were small. They were quiet. They were woven into the beautiful story he created for us. And I lived inside that story. Happily. Blindly. The first real crack in our perfect world happened on a normal Tuesday. Ben had stayed the night. He left early for a work meeting. He was in a hurry. He kissed me goodbye. "I love you, Mia," he said. "I love you too," I replied, smiling. After he left, I started cleaning up my small apartment, making the bed, washing the dishes. I picked up his coat from the chair where he had left it. It was a new coat. He had just bought it. As I hung it up, something fell out of the pocket. It was a small, folded piece of paper. I picked it up. It was a receipt from a flower shop. It was from the day before. I smiled. Maybe he was planning a surprise for me, but then I looked closer. The receipt was for a large bouquet of pink lilies. Pink lilies were beautiful, but they were not my favorite flower. My favorite flowers were daisies. I told him that on one of our first dates. He always remembered things like that. He was the man who remembered I liked extra cinnamon in my coffee. How could he forget my favorite flower? And then I saw the little note section on the receipt, the message for the card. The florist had written it down. It said, "Happy anniversary, my love, to many more. All my love, B." My blood ran cold. Anniversary? We didn't have an anniversary yet. Not really. And who was he sending these flowers to? My hand was shaking. I read the words again. "Happy anniversary, my love." It wasn't for me. It couldn't be. I sat down on my bed. The receipt felt heavy in my hand. My mind was racing. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was for his work colleague. Maybe it was for his aunt. But he said his aunt lived far away. And the note? My love. He came back that evening. He was smiling. He had a small bag in his hand. "I brought you your favorite pastry," he said cheerfully. He put his arms around me. I tried to act normal, but I felt stiff, cold. After dinner, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I took a deep breath. My heart was pounding in my chest. "Ben," I started. "I was cleaning today, and I found this." I held out the small, wrinkled receipt. He looked at it. For a split second, I saw something in his eyes. Panic. It was there for just a moment. Then it was gone. He put on a calm, easy smile. "Oh, that," he said with a little laugh. "I completely forgot about that." "What is it?" I asked. My voice was quiet. It's for my boss, he said smoothly. It was his wedding anniversary yesterday. The whole team chipped in to get a gift for him and his wife. I was the one who went to pick it up. I must have left the receipt in my pocket. His boss. It sounded plausible. It sounded logical. He looked at me, his eyes so sincere, so loving. You didn't think... Oh, Mia, you didn't think it was for someone else, did you? He looked hurt. Genuinely hurt that I would doubt him. I felt a wave of guilt. Of course. It was for his boss. I was being silly, paranoid. No, of course not, I said quickly. I was just curious. You know you're the only one for me, he said, pulling me into a hug. I love you more than anything. I hugged him back. I rested my head on his chest. I listened to his heartbeat. It sounded steady, calm. I told myself to forget it. It was nothing, just a misunderstanding. But a tiny seed of doubt had been planted in my heart. And even though I tried to ignore it, it started to grow. After the receipt incident, I started to notice more things. Small things. Inconsistencies. Before, I would have ignored them. Now they stuck in my mind. They felt like little puzzle pieces that didn't fit. He said he was working late one night. I decided to surprise him. I cooked his favorite meal and took it to his office building. I thought it would be romantic. When I got there, I called his phone. Hey, I said cheerfully. I'm downstairs from your office. I brought you dinner. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Oh, he said. His voice sounded strange. Mia, you shouldn't have. I'm actually not at the office. We moved to a client's building for the evening. A last-minute thing. Oh, okay, I said, trying to hide my disappointment. Where is that? Maybe I can bring it there. No, it's fine, he said quickly. It's a secure building, and we're about to wrap up. I'll be home soon. I'm so sorry, my love. But thank you. That was so sweet of you. I went home. I ate the dinner alone in my quiet apartment. When he came home hours later, he was so apologetic. He kissed me and thanked me again and again. I wanted to believe him, but the seed of doubt grew another little root. The lies were like threads, small, almost invisible threads, but they were starting to weave a net around me, and I was starting to feel trapped in it. I felt confused. I loved Ben. I loved the man he was with me, the kind, loving, perfect man. But who was the man who made excuses? The man with secrets? Were they the same person? I started to feel like I was going crazy. I would question everything. Was I being paranoid? Was I ruining the best thing that ever happened to me because of my own insecurity? Ben was always so good at calming my fears. He would look me in the eyes, tell me he loved me, and the world would feel right again. For a little while, the breaking point came a few weeks later. It started with a simple friend request on social media. A woman named Anna. I didn't recognize her, but we had one mutual friend, Ben. I thought it was strange. Ben wasn't very active on social media. He rarely posted anything. He said he preferred real life. I clicked on Anna's profile. It was public. There were photos of her. She was pretty, with long blonde hair and a bright smile. There were photos of her with friends, on vacation. And then I saw him. It was a photo from 2 months ago. It was a group photo at a birthday party. Ben was in the back. He had his arm around Anna. They were both smiling. It looked comfortable, natural, like they belonged together. My heart stopped. I scrolled through more of her photos. I felt sick. There were more. A photo of them at a Christmas market last year. A photo of them on a beach from the summer. They looked happy. They looked like a couple. And then I saw it. The photo that shattered my world into a million pieces. It was a picture of Anna, Ben, and a little girl. The girl was maybe 4 or 5 years old. She had Ben's dark, curly hair and his honey-colored eyes. Ben was holding her, kissing the top of her head. Anna was standing next to them, her hand on Ben's arm. They looked like a perfect family. The photo was captioned, "My beautiful family. So much love." It was posted 3 weeks ago. I couldn't breathe. It felt like the air was sucked out of the room. My beautiful family. His family. He had a family. A wife. A child. The man who told me he was an orphan. The man who told me he was all alone in the world. The man who told me I was his family. It was all a lie. Everything. The books on my shelves seemed to mock me. The stories of true love and happy endings. My life was not a romance novel. It was a horror story. And I was the fool who didn't see it. The pain was physical. It was a sharp, heavy weight in my chest. I sat on my floor, my phone in my hand, and I cried. I cried for the woman I was. The naive, romantic woman who believed in soulmates. I cried for the love I thought I had. I cried for the future that was never real. A house with a garden. A dog named Sunny. A daughter with my eyes. It was all a fantasy he had built for me, while he went home to his real life, his real family. I don't know how long I sat there. The sun went down. My small apartment grew dark. I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat in the darkness, feeling empty, broken. He called my phone. I saw his name on the screen. Ben. It looked foreign, like the name of a stranger. I didn't answer. He called again, and again. Then he sent a message. "Mia, are you okay? I'm worried. Please call me." Worried. He was worried. The thought made me laugh. A bitter, empty laugh. I knew what I had to do. I couldn't hide. I couldn't pretend anymore. I needed to face him. I needed to hear him say it. He came over later that night. He had a key to my apartment. A key I had given him. He opened the door. "Mia?" He called out into the darkness. "Why are the lights off? Is everything all right?" I stood up. I turned on one small lamp. My face was stained with tears. My eyes were red and swollen. I probably looked terrible. I didn't care. When he saw my face, his smile faded. My love, what's wrong? What happened? He tried to come closer, to touch me. Don't, I said. My voice was cold. It didn't sound like my own. Don't touch me. He stopped. He looked confused. Mia, talk to me. You're scaring me. I held up my phone. I showed him the picture of his beautiful family. His face went white. All the color drained away. He had no words. For the first time since I met him, the charming, confident Ben was silent. He just stared at the phone. He couldn't lie his way out of this. The proof was right there. Who are they, Ben? I asked. My voice was shaking, but it was strong. Tell me. He looked down at the floor. He couldn't look at me. Mia, he whispered. It's complicated. Complicated? I laughed again. That horrible, empty laugh. That's your word? Complicated? You have a wife. You have a child. A little girl with your eyes. And you told me you were alone. You told me your parents were dead. You built a whole life with me based on lies. Was any of it real, Ben? Any of it? He finally looked at me. There were tears in his eyes. His perfect, honey-colored eyes. What I have with you is real, Mia, he said. His voice was desperate. I love you. I never meant to hurt you. You never meant to hurt me? I was shouting now. The quiet, gentle Mia was gone. You lied to me every single day. You let me plan a future with you that you knew could never happen. You let me dream of a family with you while you had one at home. How is that not hurting me? He tried to explain. He said his marriage was unhappy. He said he and Anna were more like roommates. He said he was going to tell me. Soon. He used all the classic lines from all the bad movies. But they weren't just lines. They were daggers in my heart. I want you to leave, I said. My voice was quiet again. I was tired. So tired. Get your things and get out of my apartment. Out of my life. Mia, please, he begged. Don't do this. We can work this out. There is no we, I said, looking straight at him. There was never a we. There was just you and your lies. Now go. He saw the look in my eyes. He knew it was over. He slowly gathered his few things from my apartment. A toothbrush, a book, a shirt. Small pieces of a life that was never real. He stood at the door for a moment. I am so sorry, Mia, he whispered. I didn't answer. I just watched him go. The door closed. The lock clicked. And I was alone in my small apartment. But this time the loneliness was not peaceful. It was a big, gaping wound. The days after that were a blur of pain. Everything reminded me of him. The cafe we went to. The park where we walked. The books on my shelves that he had touched. Our song on the radio. It was torture. I told my friends. They were shocked. Angry for me. They surrounded me with love. They brought me food. They sat with me while I cried. They made me talk. It was hard, but it helped. It's okay to ask for help when you are hurting. It's important to have people who love you. Healing is not a straight line. It's a messy, difficult path. There were days I felt strong. I would go to work. I would clean my apartment. I would feel like I was going to be okay. And then there were days when a small memory would hit me, and the pain would be fresh all over again. I would spend the evening crying, feeling lost and broken. I had to learn to trust myself again. I had been so wrong about him. I had ignored the red flags. I had ignored my own intuition, the small voice inside me that said something was wrong. I promised myself I would listen to that voice from now on. I learned that love shouldn't be complicated. It shouldn't be full of secrets and lies. Real love, true love, should feel safe. It should be honest. It should be kind. Ben's love was a beautiful cage. It looked wonderful from the inside, but it was still a cage. Slowly, very slowly, I started to heal. I focused on myself. I started painting again, a hobby I had forgotten. I started traveling by myself. I went to Italy. I ate pasta and looked at old buildings, just like we had talked about. But I did it for me. I stood in front of the Colosseum in Rome, and I felt a sense of peace. I had survived. I was stronger than I thought. My name is Mia. I am 28 years old. I don't believe in the same kind of magic anymore. I don't believe in one perfect soulmate. I believe in myself. I believe in my own strength. I believe in honesty and kindness. The lies he told almost broke me, but they also taught me what I deserve. And I deserve the truth. If you are listening to my story and you feel heartbroken or lost or betrayed, please know this. Your pain is real. It is valid. Let yourself feel it, but don't let it define you. You are not the lies someone else told you. You are not the love they failed to give you. You are so much more than that. You can heal. You can rebuild. You can find happiness again, a real happiness, built on truth and self-love. It takes time. Be patient with yourself. You can do this. Keep going.